let me just pick up 7.3 because the Zambian Chancellery, we had taken action on that again a couple of months ago, and I missed it on the agenda. And what you need to know about that, and the reason that I included it, was we've had a couple of questions about what's happening with both the property they're temporarily using and their property on Mass Avenue. We had reviewed and approved the property on Mass Avenue for its renovation and additions. On that, that probably was 2 years ago or 3. And the property that they're renting on our street is zoned as a private residence. We would not agree to them changing the zoning of that, but we would approve that the Zambians could rent out that house so long as it was never converted to a foreign mission property. So that's the status of the Zambian government at this point. Okay, is Christian there?
Not yet. It looks like hopefully he'll be here any minute. He got the link, so.
Let us go on and do 8.3, 2449 Tracy, and then we'll come back to Christian when he's on. As anyone who follows the property, we know this is the Trump house. And some time ago, the owner of the property went through a change order for the fence. It was reviewed by the ANC. We turned down the projection at that point because it basically did not meet the criteria. Historic Preservation ended up approving it. And so at that point, our hands were tied. We disagreed with the raising of the height of the fence, and that so we basically are faced with this again. And just talking with Jeff on this, and Kendi, I'm sure that you have something to add to this, and perhaps Don also. But it seems to me that one of our issues with this, it might be treated now as a high security place. However, I don't believe that we anticipate that the Trumps are going to be there forever, or that this is going to be a high security property. In addition, when the fence was going up, the owner did half of the project and then decided midway through that he didn't want to finish the project because he was either going to sell the property or just simply didn't want to do the remainder of the fence. And at that point, we were told by Historic Preservation that there wasn't anything they could do to force him to continue to fulfill the plan as was submitted. So it was a catch-22 at that point, and now they're back wanting to raise this. In addition, it's to raise it with the metal fence on top of the stone wall. And previously, at least they had agreed to make the stone wall level around the entire enclosure. So those are just some of my opening comments on this. And Jeff, do you have any?
I don't have any additional comments.
Okay.
The history of it is certainly helpful to be aware of.
Kendi? Peter, is Kendi on? Peter, is Kindy
Sorry,
here?
I was talking with Christian again. He found the email in spam. Let me see if I'm going to allow. Kindy, is this you?
Yes.
Hi, Kindy.
Hi, David and Jeff. I mean, we have a height restriction, so I've written to Steve Colcott to see what he says about this project, but it might be moot if they've already approved it.
Right, and Steve seemed to feel that he would approve it at the new height so long as they moved the location of the fence. It was in the email that he sent to you this afternoon.
I didn't get that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
I'll send
yet.
it to you when we get off.
Okay. Are they thinking that they might move it inside the bushes?
Yeah, I think that was what Steve said was the wall looks to be approximately 4 feet high on Wyoming and climbs up to 7 feet high on Colorado. And the existing fence adds another 4 feet to that height, all of which is much taller than is typical of the neighborhood. I wouldn't object to the fence being higher if it was pulled in and placed inside the existing line of trees rather than on the outside.
Okay, actually, I see it in my spam. I think that if we could ask them to say that it's temporary and then it would be removed when those particular tenants moved out, maybe we could get that into the permit from historic preservation.
Okay.
I mean, personally, that's what I would try for. That's what I will try for. And maybe the ANC could just echo the same thing.
Right. Peter, you have that on tape.
Yep.
Okay, good. We will, with Jeff, with your approval.
Thank you.
Yes, with my approval. I agree that long-term, we don't want that, but if that's what we need for a short-term solution, I think that's
We might also ask if they're putting this barricade around the property, they could decrease the number of Secret Service they have also sitting around doing nothing, which I doubt that they will go with that either. Okay. Now, do we have Christian?
We do. So I'm going to. We also had Dawn and Rod were both raising their hand. I think maybe for the last one.
Okay.
So I'll go with Rod.
Okay, are you gonna mute me, please?
Would you like me to, or were you planning on saying something else?
I'm done
Okay.
on
great.
that project.
Great.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, Rod, I'm allowing you to speak. You may have to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, and hello to everybody. I'm not sure what documents you received, but the issues with the front of the house with the previous owner, and as you know, I'm the broker for the house. The issues with the front of the house where the previous owner did things are beyond us. All we're going to do is replace that very old stone wall that's falling down in kind. And that's, that's it. Other than that, the only fence that's there is a little iron gate fence. The present tenants had put in the trees that are there now. They will have to be moved out. What's going to happen is we have to basically reinforce that wall because it's not just an aesthetic thing or a security thing. It's the wall is falling down, the stones are popping, etc. So the idea is simply to replace it in kind. That's all. Yeah, I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
The irony of that is that that isn't what is in the documentation as far as I read anyway. That and from what you're saying is that the new fence is only on Wyoming.
No, there is no new fence. What they're going to
Well, you call it whatever you want. It's a new fence that's going in there. It has to be matched perfectly then with the stone that's already there.
That's correct.
It cannot be, the cement has to be the same color,
Yes. Yes.
the stones have to be the same and everything.
Right.
And then if you're looking at on top of that wall that's already there, that has been there, and you're going to put a metal fence on top of that, then you are really adding a new fence there.
No, the fence is already has already been there. It was
is
there when we
not
purchased
at
it.
the height now that you wanted to add to
We
it.
do not want to add height to it.
Well, again, we don't have that documentation. And I think that this project came to us at the very last minute. The ANC was never even notified of this. If Kindy hadn't shared what she had received on it, we would not have known of this project at all.
Okay.
And
I fully, first of all, I apologize that you got those documents. I don't have a copy of those documents, which
well,
I'm sorry for that.
then it would seem to me that you wouldn't want to put this project forward for the ANC to consider.
So here's the only issue there is that the wall is falling, and yes, the Secret Service has asked that we move forward as soon as possible because it is a security concern. Given the social situations these days. And if we can get an adjustment to that to make sure that you are assured that the fence will not be any higher than it is and that it will be replaced in kind, would that be agreeable to the ANC?
Jeff?
If that is the proposal, I don't have a strong objection to that, though. I would need to look at the materials prior to giving a final approval. I think that was part of what David was saying, is that doing this sort of on the fly is not something we're accustomed to without having to look at the materials and be able to digest them in advance.
Right, and I think part of this situation has been that because of the COVID, they just weren't getting the advanced project drawings as they needed, and everything got delayed. And the concern is also that not to wait until September. But if I can assure you, and you can see with the documents that will be approved and the drawings, that it has to be exactly as it is. It cannot be a change. The whole idea is to make it simply replaced in kind. I had spoken with Kindy about it months ago, and that's the whole idea. Now, the quarry might have, I think the quarry from which those stones were originated doesn't have much of that exact stone, but we're going to make it as close as possible to that exact wall. That's the whole idea. We have to reinforce the wall from behind and not change the height in any way.
Well, your one further words I find even more puzzling, that if you spoke with Kindy a couple of months ago on this, why wasn't the ANC brought in at that point?
Well,
it would solve the issue of not bringing us in as a lay partner in this process.
You're absolutely right, and I've been asking the contractors to move on it, and they finally got everything together. For the last couple of months, as you know, we've had this COVID situation.
Listen, you can come up with every excuse you want, but I find it to be frustrating when you ask us to take it in good faith. That property has never cooperated in good faith, and so therefore you put us in between trying to accomplish something to keep the neighborhood together and become Johnny on Lake. And
right. Well, here's the thing. The present ownership has not owned that except since basically the very end of 2016. I know there were other issues prior to that, and we're trying to comply with everything. And that's why the only thing would be that you would approve that it must be replaced in kind without any added height. And I'm certainly there's no intention to add any height to it whatsoever.
I accept your intention, but reality is a different issue.
We won't change it. I mean, it makes no sense to have issues with our community, and we want to do everything to the best possible way.
Okay, with what Jeff basically responded in that I'll move a motion that the ANC2D approve the replacement of the fence on Wyoming Street around 24, 2449. And that all materials, including the metal fencing, as well as the stone fencing and cement, must match the existing fence.
Thank you. That's exactly what we'll do. Thank you
David,
very
we
much.
also have Dawn and Kindy that are raising their hand again on this matter too. I didn't know when.
Okay. Jeff and I have not voted on this, and Don and Kindy, do you want to speak?
Oh wait, Dawn, I'm putting you on. You should be allowed to speak. You may have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. You know, as you all know, I live next door to 2449. I've never seen any kind of proposal or plans or anything else. I certainly do support the replacement, repair of the stone wall. I mean, I have the same kind of stone wall in front of our house, and it had to be replaced 20 years ago. It bulges out and needs replacement. I support that certainly. Again, I've never seen any plans for any of this though, and I was surprised to see anything even in the agenda today. So I certainly would like, both as an next door neighbor and as president of the neighborhood association, to see plans for what's proposed and what's going to happen here.
That sounds valid.
Okay. Kindy?
Yep, I'll put Kindy on. Kindy, you should be allowed to speak again.
Yeah, I think I've been unmuted.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that in the resolution, it says that the address is 49 Tracy, even though you're referring to the fence on the Wyoming side.
Right.
And I have a question for, is it Guy Williams that's there? Or that's on the line? Can you reuse the iron railings fence that's now there, or are you going to have to replace it in kind?
Rod, I think
Peter,
that,
can you ask him that? Or,
yeah, Rod, I think that was a question for you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I
great.
can.
Yeah, the idea is not to change the fence. Yeah, I mean, if there's a slight accident and with any of the machinery or something, it'll be replaced in kind, like the wall. There's no intent to change anything there.
But at the moment, are you planning on using
Yes.
the iron railings that are
Yes.
there, or are you
Yes,
just? Okay.
that's the idea.
Yes, and the motion, Candy, does require that it be the same material and look like the existing fence.
Right, in the same height.
Right.
Hopefully,
Right.
if they can use the railing that's there, we have no concern about it being higher.
Oh,
So-
okay.
We don't want it to be higher. That's the real main issue here.
Right.
So-
So if they're going to use a new fence, we don't approve it to be higher. It's got to be that height and that material.
And I'd love to see something in writing from Horizon Homeworks.
Well, This
okay.
is the motion from the ANC.
Yeah,
Right.
Correct.
thank you.
Thank you.
I amend the motion to include Don's concern that both the Historical Association, the Neighborhood Association, and the two commissioners be provided diagrams, copies, blueprints, whatever plans you have on this prior to our motion going into effect.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, great. So we'll get that to you, and if you pass the resolution with that condition, that's great. We'll just get that to you so we don't delay the project. And I really appreciate your cooperation and your concerns, obviously. Thank you.
Both hard copies need to go to Jeff and myself and delivered to our homes that are on the ANC website. The addresses are there.
Okay, very good. You will get them.
Yep.
And thank you. And obviously you can share them with Don and with Kindy.
No,
Thanks, Rod.
they need copies as well.
Okay.
Kindy normally will take soft copies, and Don, I'm not sure what you prefer.
Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here. Am I unmuted or I need
Yeah.
to be unmuted?
Don,
No, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, soft copies are fine with me.
Okay, Don, if you would be good enough, maybe you can give me your email. We've spoken on site before when you were walking your
Yeah,
pet
I
there.
think I have your email address. I'll send you something.
Okay, that'll be great, Don.
But it's pretty easy. If it's just Donald J. Friedman at Perkins Coie, and you can find me pretty easily. I'm not hidden very well. But I'll send you something.
Okay, all right. Thank you all.
Kindy, you're still unmuted, so you can still talk.
Okay, I'd like to get an electronic copy directly from Horizons, and you have my email address.
Oops, sorry.
Yes, okay, we'll do that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rod.
Thank you all.
And
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Peter.
yeah, we also had a question from Laura in the chat. And I think this is for Rod. Are they reusing the existing stones to the extent possible?
To the extent possible, yes, though most of them have been disintegrated from behind because of the soil. The way they make, that's a very old wall, and the soil has taken on a lot of water. It's really a retention wall for the yard. It really keeps the yard there. So it's going to be tough to use it, but whatever we can, we will.
Okay.
Right.
And Kindy, I think I might have accidentally cut you off in the middle of what you were saying last time, but I've unmuted you again. You had said you wanted electronic copies.
Yes.
That's all. I'm done.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, David, I think there's no one else.
Okay. Christian, is he?
Yeah,